People ain't loyal no more. It's time to talk. Marc, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to my podcast. Welcome to my world of loyalty, core values, old school values. Welcome to Beyond Loyalty.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the invitation. I'm really glad to be here.
We've not seen each other for probably 2 years. Was it 2 years?
Yeah, it's about 2 years,
when I attended one of your NLP courses, and this episode will be mostly about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. So let's start from beginning. Where did you grow up? What's your background? I know that you mentioned to me that you spent some time in film industry, which is very interesting to me because a year ago I started my new hobby, which is acting.
Brilliant. I mean, I grew up in a place called Old Swan in Liverpool. Very hardcore terrorist madness, as I might describe it to people. Not much to say about it really, except that one of the things, as a consequence of the environment that I grew up in, was that I paid a lot of attention to what was actually happening around me. There was a distinct difference between what was being said and the actions that I was witnessing. And I learned that the best way for me through it all was to go more with what I was actually witnessing than necessarily what people say, because people don't always say what they mean. And don't pay a lot of loyalty to each other on that one. So anyway, I as a child, I didn't realise that I was doing this. Of course, I was just doing what I was doing to get my own needs met. I didn't realise that it was an amazing skill that would come back later in life and really help me. So flash forward quite a while. I've been meditating since I was about 4 or 5. I decided to do that. At 5, was I meditating? Probably not. But I was copying what I saw people doing.
4, 5?
Yeah. There was stuff on TV and I decided to copy it. A series called Kung Fu that was on TV then, and I wanted to do that stuff, and so I sat. I didn't know what I was doing, of course, so I probably wasn't really meditating. I was sitting quietly. By the time I was 14, I probably was starting to get better at doing that. I'd already started a martial art by then, and was under the guidance then of somebody else, and guidance is important to me. I'm 45 years later, I'm still involved in Aikido, and how that comes into my life is a set of skills, because of course the second word, the one that most people miss, is art. It's an art. So self-defense is defense against the self. It's not actually external. So how am I thinking to myself? Do I think respectfully towards myself with the voice inside me? Do I eat respectfully? Do I exercise? How do I look after myself? How do I look after other people? How do I speak to other people with compassion, knowing that they themselves are maybe limited in the way that they're able to think because of the consequences of their environment, and just because I can see that doesn't make me any better than them. It just means that I have compassion to choose my responses a little differently.
So is this some kind of awareness you have to learn, that's, to be aware of it? And
yeah, I would say actually the funny thing is it's almost the opposite of that. It's what you have to unlearn in order to actually realise that you were here all along. Behind the mask. And so so martial arts helps to focus on the moment, being present.
When did you start Aikido?
Aikido was a little later on. I started with judo, then jiu-jitsu, and then I helped teach Tai Chi for a number of years at the Chinese Community Centre, and then I had an accident. And in the accident, I crushed my hand flat, and they said I would never use it again. And someone referred me to an Aikido teacher, and I went and met him, and he basically manipulated my hand, and seconds later, all the pain was gone and the feeling came back. And he just said, hey, if you want to practice Aikido now, you could if you wanted to, and just walked off. And he was my teacher until he died 2 years ago. So absolutely incredible experience. So self-defense, defense against the self, language, and the difference between language and action all kind of comes together. I pursue English through to degree, and then I did a diploma in counselling because that seemed to be the applied language use. And somewhere along the way, there I am being a Gestalt therapist, and I discovered that people's eyes, self-discovered that people's eyes move in very predictable directions, and that I could enable the person using what I was seeing. But I thought I must be going crazy. So I didn't tell anyone for about 6 months. And eventually I confessed to my supervisor that there was this thing. I've still got the piece of paper that I wrote it down on in 1996. And he just said, "Oh, you'd like Richard Bandler." I had no idea who it was. A couple of months later, I discover that he's coming to the UK for the first time. And so I basically went, and all I knew was that he had the eye thing. So I was down with whatever happened. I came back from the first training, revolutionised my life completely overnight. And
You found the thing.
he showed me how I was being brilliant at what I was brilliant at. I was already brilliant at those things, but I didn't know how.
It's interesting that you already been exploring it without knowing that there is something like NLP.
It's like, how do you be in alignment with yourself? You see, a martial art is not about fighting. I have no interest in that anymore. In the past, maybe I was a different person. But now, it's not about that. I'm not interested in that. But how can I train myself? What is the way? The way, the do, the way, not the martial. It's the way. And the way is to look after yourself and other people and to live a satisfying and productive life and to be true to the things that you say. Like, if I say I'm going to do something for you, I'm going to do it. I might take a while if it's particularly difficult. I might have to find a way if I don't know the way. But if I reckon I can do it and I say I'm going to do it, then
you will do it.
It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time after that. Same for myself. If I say I'm going to do something, it might take me a while, but I'm going to do it. Set out the clear path, follow the steps. It's just one step at a time, really.
Look, that's how it should be, and that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because there are still people out there who appreciate these core values that some people have, and appreciate to have people like this in their circles, because what's more than when you've got someone in your circle, when you ask them for something, they will say they'll help, and they will actually help. There's nothing more. People keeping word and being loyal, being always there when you need them.
Yeah, and also saying no when they can't.
Yeah, of course.
Do you understand?
You can't help everyone. Let's put it that
when
way.
Someone says, "Yeah, I'll do that," when they've got no chance of doing it ever.
Yeah. But that's what I don't understand about some people. There are people out there who would tell you bullshit without any hesitation, and they know they can't do it. They can't deliver.
Yeah, the amount of times I worked on films where people were promising me when the big boat comes in and we're all in it together. Do you know, there was never a big boat and we didn't all get on it all together. What they actually wanted me to do was, for example, one guy wanted me to fly out to Yugoslavia and edit a movie for free.
Right.
Because the next film, no, what you're actually asking me to do is to travel to another country under my own steam and live and work there for free. It's
cheeky fucker.
Madness when you think about it.
So how did you get to film industry? When?
It was an accident.
Was it?
It was an accident. So after I did the initial trainings that I did with Richard Bandler, so I did everything that he had.
So that's around 95, 96?
97 to
97?
99, yeah.
Okay.
I did everything. I did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a consequence of all of those things, I decided I would like to make products. So how do you make products? Well, I didn't know one end of a camera or a microphone from the other, apart from being on stage as a musician. It's different, though. So I enrolled and I did a HND in professional media so that I would know how to use edit suites and mixing desks and all those things. And then, of course, other people knew that I'd done that. So I would get a little invite We have this sports program, Anglo-Irish Muay Thai Championship, or some other, the sort of stuff that was on Channel 4 in the middle of the night that no one watches. They were the things that I shot. And I would do all these things, and it was money, right? So it was money, it was easy. So I would do it. Films came along a little bit later, and I moved into edit instead of camera because no one had told me how all the different lenses worked. Because that's the film world is like, I know something you don't. I'm not going to tell you how to do what I do, which is kind of strange because I'm used to an open world where people share. So I moved into editing, and then I'm still on a 4-week, 5-week run. I could still manage my business and go missing for 5 weeks and still make it work. But you see, when I got asked into a film in London for Ridley Scott, then that was 6 months. That was 6 months, 17 hours a day. You better understand that's hard work. Super fun.
7 days a week?
Sometimes endlessly.
Really?
I worked 7 days once with an 11-hour break in the middle. Yeah, because the law says how long your break needs to be in between shifts, but it doesn't define the length of a shift. So 3 days.
I remember that from recruitment.
Yeah.
We had to tweak some days, like they had a different breaks.
You do whatever you... In fact, the contracts in films are called blood sheets. Just let that sink in. That's the attitude, you're signing away to have a credit.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not about the money, it's about the credit. That's what you're signing for, is credit in the movie. It was great, don't get me wrong. I did 5 films there, mixed with all the sorts of names that you would be able to name. That side of it.
What sorts of films were they?
So I specialised in documentaries.
Documentaries.
So we made, the first one was called Life. Was it Life in a Day? World in a Day? Life in a Day. Life in a Day. I think it was called that. Japan in a Day, Life in a Day, Christmas in a Day, India in a Day. You get the idea. But Life in a Day challenged the whole world to shoot their life on any device on the 24th of the 7th, so 24/7, and send it to us and we'd make a documentary. The biggest thing that had ever happened up until that point was Google Orchestra, and 10,000 people took part in that around the world. So we built a system thinking we'll never get that, but we'll build a system that can handle 10,000 people, And we went past that in the first few hours of people uploading. So actually 85,000 people in 196 countries sent over 4,500 hours of footage, 153 different film formats. I remember
so
my
you had
horror
to go through all of them?
All of it. And my job was, of course, cinema is one film format, isn't it? It's 24 frames a second. And some of my footage was 10,000 frames a second. And some was one every few days that was coming from Antarctica. But it was incredible. So it was the Northern Lights like I've never seen it.
Yeah.
So like, wow. And he kept thinking he should give up. And we're like, no. It's definitely in the film. However many frames you send are in the film. But you think about trying to deal with, over 600 languages and deal with those people all over the world. It was wild. It was great. I loved it. And my mind just so happens to process large amounts of data short term. So I could keep track of a lot of things short term, and that's what they needed me to be able to do. The rest of the films, I designed the workflow after that so that they got more and more efficient, because that's the other thing that I specialise, is efficiency, either in a single human being or in an organisation. In this case, it was an organisation called a film.
So you definitely enjoyed your time there?
I enjoyed it, but ultimately it was not my job. It was not my job. If I stayed, though, the next step was taking 3% of the film or something. That was my next step. And if you think about that type of film, that kind of area of people, we're talking a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money. But it wasn't my money. It was not in alignment with who I am. I'd set out to be teaching people NLP, not making films that nobody cares about anymore. So I decided I would quit. I'd work one last film. I'd take all the profit from that film and reinvest it in myself. And I would give it to someone in Australia that I'd never met called Tad James. And then I would travel to Australia and redo all my NLP trainings with him. I chose him specifically because I highly admired his hypnosis, and I wanted a formal qualification in hypnosis. So that's why I did it. And it was a massive revolution.
So the course took place in Australia?
3 days after the end of the last film.
Okay.
I literally came home, repacked the bag and went to Australia. And I had no idea if it was worth it. But I'd given him all my money. And quitting the film industry meant no money whatsoever until I re-established.
Yeah.
It took me about 9 months.
Sometimes you gotta jump,
If you don't, you'll never know. In
Definitely.
fact, when you actually stop having one foot in one territory and one foot in the other, when it's all in is all in.
You have to cut plan B.
Bills are still coming.
Yeah.
There can't be a plan B. The Chinese said smashing the pots. That's what they called it. You smash the pots, you ain't going back. We're not going to be cooking here no more.
Mm-hmm.
The Romans crossed the Rubicon. Everyone has their way of saying it.
Yeah.
The Vikings used to burn the boats when they landed.
Yeah. So they can't go back.
There's no way back. There isn't a way back. There's no plan B. So you become resourceful. If I told you...
That's very strong.
If I told you that I had £1 million in cash in a hotel in Bangkok, in an unlocked room, and it was yours if you could get there in 3 days, I'll leave it there for 3 days. You can't tell me you wouldn't manage to get there, even if you had no money.
Less than 24 hours.
I used to work in prisons from time to time, and they all said they could get there. So someone can become resourceful if the environment,
reason is strong enough.
Yeah, they will find it. They will find a way. They would find the money, like I did, to do the training. Don't give me excuses for
I
why
had
it's not like
similar
that.
experience when I swapped from corporate world to the business. Like, I didn't know whether it will work out, but I believed it will, and I wanted it so much to be in a business that I would do anything.
Yeah.
Made mistakes, it's in my book, bought car wash, lost money working there, but everything will kind of like clear itself along the way.
Yeah.
You just have to go that path.
You have to know where you're going. You see, that's the thing. If you're in the mountains, there's only 2 points that matter: where you are and where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You can tell me all the time why I'm where I am, and it makes no difference. I'm still there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not relevant. What's relevant is I need to know where that is if I don't know. And I need a coordinate for where I'm going. That's what I need. And all the most successful people that I've ever met and talked to all started with the end product and reverse engineer back to what do I need to do today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you start from now, you see all the obstacles
Take
in the way.
those steps towards it.
Yeah, you say, but what if this, what if that, if you start at the other end, you're past any of that, any of it. And so that's where you got to start. You got to start at the other end. And that's where the sort of stuff that I do really helps people, because quite a lot of times when I work with people in a coaching way, they kind of know, but kind of know is not good enough what they want. Or they want to, and then fill in the blanks. Look, I still want to play the piano, right? But I've still not done it. So I still don't play it. The problem with want to is it goes forwards with you.
Yeah.
If it's December the 27th, 2026, and
You
I'm
will play
sitting at my
piano.
piano playing, name the name of the piece that you want to play, blah, 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 and I feel great about all that, that is starting to be something. If it's a goal, how much money do you want? Don't tell me more. Here's a penny. You've got more money. Yeah, it's not specific, is it?
Yeah. That's true.
You need to be specific. And that's one of the things that I think that my field is very, very good at doing. Very, very good.
That's powerful. Very powerful. So let's go to NLP. For those who never heard NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, what is it in a nutshell? A very simple explanation.
I've changed the way I've said this over all the years, really. If you'd asked me in the 90s, I sounded like some crazy evangelical madman, and probably similar with martial arts. I would have told you all about what Aikido is, but now it's like I have no idea really what Aikido is, and yet I wouldn't say that to a beginner. they don't put them off. I think in a nutshell, I think that the NLP and hypnosis, as well, as you know that I'm a master trainer of, it's really how the software operates inside yourself, your own mind software.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have the same system. It's exactly the same. I've had the beautiful experience of teaching people all over the world. And so I've met people from pretty much every culture you can think of, and everyone's the same. We speak different languages maybe from time to time, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the point, we all remember things, we all forget things, we all vibrate and somehow imbibe that vibration with meaning that the other person somehow plucks out of that. I mean, it's quite incredible when you think about it. I don't even know how I make sound that makes my communication happen right now, right? So there's a lot of trust involved that it's going to happen. So we don't need to know the ins and outs of all of that stuff. I mean, you can, and there, there's all that information for people who are interested. But most people who drive a car don't know what, they know there's an engine in the car, but they don't really know what's in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessary. So I think to be able to harness what you're already doing, because you're already doing it. If I taught you all the skills, I'm only showing you what you're already doing. It's not new. But can you harness your system in the way that you need it to be harnessed in order to get to what you actually want to do? How do you get in alignment with yourself and find out where you are and what is it that you really want? And then how do you identify what you've got at the moment that helps you towards that, and what haven't you got? And where can you get that, or who can you get that from, etc., so that you can identify everything. So to me, you could you could relive moments from the past again and again and again, and if that makes you feel good, nice. If it does the opposite of that, there's absolutely no point in doing that because that's not happening now. You're making it happen, and most people don't realize that they're actually creating the experience that they're having. So most people in sales, for example, most people that I know that are really good at sales aren't going to do what I just said when they're attempting to make a sale. And if they're not feeling good that day, then they're going to make themselves feel good, first of all, by using techniques, and then proceed with the workload afterwards. It's just simple. I like things to be simple. I'm fed up of people making things seem complicated and then using 13-letter words, all of which I can do, right? But a 6-year-old doesn't care about those things. So it comes down to this. The way that you think, the structure, the actual literal words that you say to yourself, inside yourself, and to other people, actually create the experience that you're actually having. That's what it's down to. You change that, and you change the way that you relate into the world. It's that simple.
So the way you think basically creates your emotions, which goes to actions later on.
So if I say, I'll never be able to fill in the blanks, I'm not going to take any steps towards that.
Mm-hmm.
If I say, I will be able to, although that seems like you're just playing with words, actually it opens up a different possibility than selling the story that you'll never be able to. And wouldn't it be a shame if the only reason why you didn't achieve the life that you were actually meant to have was because no one showed you how you actually do it, and that's the only reason why the person's not achieving the life that they want to have, is literally because they've never been shown how.
At Rainbow Northwest, we make real estate effortless. Whether you're looking to sell on the market, off market through our exclusive investor database, or via auction, we've got you covered. Plus, we offer top-notch property and project management, including refurbishment for investors. We can help you to build your own portfolio. Let us help you on your real estate journey. Rainbow Northwest, your trusted real estate business partner.
So I said it's over 100 years ago that it was discovered that if you believe something, it's more likely to happen. He also discovered this, William James, over 100 years ago, discovered that you can either spontaneously believe something And many people have an experience of that. Like suddenly, oh, I'm in love with someone. It's instant. It didn't have to be worked on. This belief just comes into existence. Or you could just tell yourself that you believe it repeatedly for 30 days, and then the body will start to respond as if it's true. Now, we know nowadays that this is called neuroplasticity, but he didn't know that word then. But that's what he's describing. Aristotle described the language of the senses. That's a long time ago. And the relationship between that to experience. So these things have been known about through. I can point further and further back. I can point back, 1,000
They're just
years
not
or more.
being kind of put together and explained that this is actually a tool you can use.
And also humans as a species have developed and grown at an increasingly exponential rate over time. The level of complexity of thought with which they can experience the world and the amount of information which they're exposed to now on a daily basis is equivalent of decades of what someone would have had 1,000 or more years ago. So we've changed. We've very much changed. Now, if you can get your system in alignment, so how do I know what I want? Well, if I have a business and I'm launching a business, I always dare people to think about how much they actually want to earn, not the turnover, because what if it cost me £1 million to make a penny? Yeah, that's not making £1 million for me. That's turnover. So what do they want, and how would they know? What's the evidence for that? When people get more and more specific, then, and this is from a whole part of my field, is to help people to become very, very, very specific, right down to a day, a time under which you've already experienced the successful conclusion.
So it's kind of like setting goals. Very similar to it.
It's absolutely setting goals. And the problem with goals per se, I find, is that the majority of people, when they say that they're setting goals, what they're actually doing is writing a nice idea. And it has no steps attached to it. And so there's no steps to take. So they might see this goal, I've whatever, I'm earning so much a month, or whatever the thing is. It's a nice idea, but just like wanting to play the piano, if there's no steps,
first step?
Where's the evidence?
Ring someone who can actually play piano and teach you how to play.
Exactly, there has to be evidence, otherwise there's no evidence.
Yeah.
Here's how far it goes. I when I redid all those trainings in Australia, okay, and as I told you, I'd left the industry. At that point, the only way to make money immediately would take another film. That would be the answer. But then I wouldn't be able to operate my business. So I had to have the confidence to carry on. Yeah. And do what I
and believe that this will start making you money and
a specific amount by a certain time in the future as well. I wasn't going to wait. So I came back from Australia. The second time I was there for a month. Still no money. I came back with $5 Australian. I was within $5 of the total calculated amount of money it would take for me to go to Australia twice for a month and do all the things, including all the trainings. Now, my business advisor really helped me to nail that right down to the last thing. And he wouldn't take it from me if it wasn't specific. He'd say, well, oh, great. Okay. So you're going to Australia. How much does it cost to fly there? I was a bit stumped. He said, where's the hotel? How much is it? Oh, you don't even know the hotel. Okay. How much does it cost to get the bus?
Eat every day.
Yeah, how much?
Anything.
And he ended up saying, how much is a pint of milk? And so he sent me off to find all this stuff out, But what he's doing is he's helping me to consolidate the idea, which is a nice idea, into the detail, to bring it down from something that's nebulous, it's a lovely idea, but where's the evidence?
Bring it down on earth.
And make it solid and something that's easy to achieve. That just, as you say, you what do I need to do today? What do I need to do tomorrow? That email brought the whole thing forwards. That phone call brought the whole thing forwards. And this is what people miss a lot of the time, is these small things are the whole of the thing.
I had a similar experience when I was thinking about acting. I knew I wanted to do it, but it was just an idea. It didn't change until I went on Google and start looking for classes and teachers who teach acting, basically, in Manchester, for example. So I found this school, applied, went for audition, second audition, and I'm there now over a year. But if I wouldn't apply, I would still be thinking, I want to try acting. I want to try it. It's nice. It could be good experience, but until you take action, nothing will happen.
Exactly. So part of it is building beliefs, and there's a specific way that your system builds beliefs, and that can be taught. A 6-year-old child can do it, right? So if a 6-year-old child can do it, I have every faith in anyone else to be able to do it. Actually, it's easier for children to do it because they're not likely to
They don't have a limitation.
Yeah, they're just not going to fight back against it. I have this problem. Yeah, you can solve that easily. They're likely to say, cool, how? You say to a 60-year-old, oh, you can just change that.
So, quick question. Can NLP help with limited beliefs? To get rid of them or, overcome them?
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the bread and butter stuff that I consider to be simple.
Okay.
It's just how you hold a belief in your mind is a system. There's a system of things. When you think of, like, you believe the sun is outside, don't you? Even though you can't see it. But you believe it. It's on a scale of 0 to 100%. How much do you believe that there's a sun out there? Unless we're going to get silly, right?
Yeah.
So, but how much do you believe that my car is white?
I've not seen it, so...
So it's somewhere, but it's
not 100%.
Yeah. How much do you believe that the audio that we're currently recording is being recorded perfectly?
I gotta check.
Yeah, but you got a fair faith in it being there, but you can't be 100. So it's somewhere. 100, yeah. So you see, the beliefs have like different levels of conviction about them, and it's because you have a system inside you to do it. So we know the system. So if you don't believe that you can change, the first thing I'm going to do is help you to create a belief as strong as the sun is out there that you can.
Mm-hmm.
And that opens up the channel of possibilities that wasn't there before. It's not the answer, but it's the beginning of how you can stack everything in your favor. And beliefs and limitations, all beliefs are limitations, by the way. You believe anything, you're closing down the system. Keeping it open is the greatest thing. Keeping the system flowing is about not closing things off. Because your brain, it wants to put it into a pattern. It wants to close it down. If I say I went to Australia, like I said before, you say Australia and stick it in a box.
Yeah.
You don't think about where. I didn't even say where.
Mm-hmm.
If I talk about being in the mountains, you might be thinking about, I don't know, mountains. But if I say the word bridge, for example, the chances of you thinking of a dental procedure are quite small, but it's the same word. So the fact that I think that I understand your words can work against me at times, whereas the words themselves that someone says and speaks out loud are the words themselves. I don't need to understand how you're organising your system, except for if there's part of your system that you want to improve on, to either make more money, which a lot of people seem to want to do, or to start from scratch with something but you don't know how, or to, I don't know, eradicate a problematic habitual behaviour, or even to heal the body. There are many, many different ways that you can use it. But most people, when I first talk to them, don't really understand that thinking doesn't just happen. It's something you're actually doing, and therefore you can change it.
That's very powerful.
It's not by accident. It's not an accident at all. In fact, I worked lots in prisons for a couple of years or so, and the most often thing said to me, because I would show them how to use their minds. That's why I was in there. God knows they let me in for 2 years to do it. But they kept saying that they thought that thinking was something that just happened to them. And I was showing them how to harness it, which was like amazing. amazing for them, but it was amazing for me to help people to see that they might have had all the skill sets in the world, and a lot of them did. But if they used them in a different way, then they could be far more productive. You know, in their case, they could literally leave the door and never go back if they just put the system into place. There's nothing wrong with the system. It's just how it was being used.
So how did you get to that? You wanted to help, or you've been approached?
Yeah, no, I mean, there was a sequence of events that eventually led to me getting in. But a lot of people, when they learn my skill set, the first thing they do is they try and turn it into loads of money. And then there are endless courses on Purple Valley. I'll name one place. There you go. If you want to entertain yourselves for 20 minutes on the highly improbable for a very small fee, then go out. You know, they're all out there. They're using the skills that I know about to do something like try and convince you that, you know, if you pay them $400, they'll show you how to quantum jump into another universe that looks exactly like this one, except you're rich and famous or something like that, right? And 90,000 people have done this course apparently, you know, at $400. Who's making money? You know, I think the person who's purporting to be able to help you to quantum jump is the person who's actually making money there. I'm not aware of anyone successfully quantum jumping into another universe. Not that I'm aware of. What's more likely is that they're using the skills without showing you the skills. And that's the thing that really annoys me. I think everyone should have access to the skills. And so my pathway has been different. I've gone into schools extensively and shown kids, mostly, not the teachers. Kids are far more smart, you know, how to do something.
Than teachers.
Yeah. Well, when you show a kid who's crying his eyes out that if he puts his eyeballs in an upward direction, the feeling will go away. Because it's hardwired. The eyeballs have to move downwards to access feelings. It's crazy. But if you know that and you put your eyeballs up, the feeling will go away. Even if you're dead happy, put your eyeballs up, it'll drains away 15 to 20 seconds or something. I showed a kid this. He's showing kids in school the next day. You know, and the kids all think he's magic. But he's just learned this little thing. But how many people are like that when they're feeling down? It's even in the words, feeling down.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to things are looking up again. It's literally in the language of the senses that it's there. So simple things, simple techniques that anyone can learn. You know, anchoring, there's a name. What does anchoring even mean? When you associate something with something else. Your name is associated with you. If you're walking up the street and someone calls my name, you're unlikely to turn around to see who it is. If someone calls your name, you're much more likely to turn around, even if it's someone calling to someone else. Yeah. You know, I've had this many times, even in a festival where there's like 80,000 people. Yeah. You know, I can hear someone calling my name. It's not exclusive to me, but it's an anchor for me. You know, my phone ring, etc., etc., etc. If your phone rings, not going to get my attention. Mm-hmm. So we have all of these things. So what if I associate a certain thing or a sound or a vision, a picture, or something like that with an event, and I took a snapshot of that event when I had a terrible experience. And then the next thing is I revisit, either in my own mind or externally, I see or hear this experience again, and I'm back there. And I don't know that I'm doing that. But if I know that I'm doing it, it becomes a choice. Mm-hmm. So it's about choice. Awareness, I think you said at one point, I know it was during the recording or before, but awareness, being able to choose how you're responding is such an important skill. So I wanted all the kids to learn all these skills. One or two teachers paid attention. When I worked in the prisons, they all wanted to know. They all wanted, once I got past that first few minutes of, am I some do-gooder that's coming in and telling them to be nice and get a job? And they realised that I'm really not that person. And I might seem unhinged, but I'm actually dead interesting. And so they would pay attention, because it was not whether they thought I was unhinged or not. It's the fact that I had something to say and it was being dead straight. And I think that, and I was always true to them as well. I always, wherever happened, if I said I was going to sort it out, I sorted it out, because that's all you can do. It might be something simple, like we'd made lanterns at one point, paper lanterns that were lit, and I got it so that they could have lights inside the lanterns, because that involves a battery. No idea how difficult it was for me to get a battery inside the blooming thing, permission. But then also to get permission for them to hand over during a visit, so that they could give it to their grandkid. Things like that, they matter, not just in that situation, but generally in life, when people start to realise how beautiful life can be when someone is living in alignment with themselves. It's not the ultimate answer to everything, but it's the how, it's the do, it's the way. And once someone does that, by the very fact that they're being like that, they invite other people to
follow the same path.
Yeah, you've got to show, leave a trail behind for others. And I think that increasingly I'm meeting more and more people around the world that are of the same kind of idea. We're all very different, of course, but being in alignment, the world could be a different place. And so it will be. So that's what I believe in.
That's brilliant. So I just want to go a little bit into these NLP techniques. For example, mirroring and matching. I realized many times, I'm in sales, that I was actually doing it, but not intentionally. It was kind of, I realized that during the conversation with the person I was speaking to, that I'm matching their behaviors. For example, if they had hands like this, they were closed, and I'm looking at myself and I'm in the same position like the person in front of me, but I didn't do it intentionally. It was just something stored in that hardware, software, and I just picked on it, and I knew that it works, and it does work, because what they saying is landing better, basically, when you in that sync.
Yeah. Which everyone likes.
Yeah.
Right? People like people who are like them.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So, how many
if you
times
give someone attention and you listen more than you speak, it works.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times have you met someone, I don't know, you're on holiday somewhere, you talk to someone for 5 minutes, the next thing is, blah, blah, I've just come from Rome. Oh, right, I was there last year. Oh, really? I was in such a place. Oh, right, so was I there. And then the next thing is, 20 minutes goes by. Or in my city, you get about 20 minutes into a conversation and suddenly it's you red or blue. It's going to come up at some point,
Yeah.
And don't say neither, because that puts you in the weird category.
So who you are.
But this is how people are in rapport with each other. That's the technical word. And obviously, if I start copying you now, it's going to become very, very obvious. But maybe this is something that you've been doing while we've been talking. And so if I do a little bit of it, then it's kind of a little bit like what you're doing, but not too close. Mm-hmm. Like my hand position's still reasonably close
very similar to
but that's
mine, yeah.
deliberate and out of volition that I'm doing those things. So yeah, it can be artificial, but still it works. Mm-hmm. So why not, let it be automatic when it's automatic. But if you meet a group of clients, like I have a very, very important meeting later this week, and I do hope to win that contract. When I say I do hope, I have created in my mind how it is 15 minutes after the successful completion of that contract being awarded to me, and I'm heading towards that with everything I've got. The last thing that can happen is that they agree to it. So that's the last step, but that's in their control.
Yeah, of course.
So I can't.
But you go in there
that.
with.
So I can do everything I can do that leads up to them saying yes. So what am I going to do? Of course, I'm going to be in rapport with them. I'm going to listen. Like you said, you listen to someone. What are their key words? What are their key phrases? Are they talking visual at the moment? Do they need to see what it's like? Get the picture. Mm-hmm. Or are they on audio? Do they like the sound of it? Does it ring a bell for them? Mm-hmm. Are they physical? Maybe they need to get a grip. Mm-hmm. Get a handle on the situation first of all. Get a feel for it before they. Where are they? If they're visual, I'm going to speak visual words. If they're hearing, I'm going to speak hearing words, and so on and so. Where's their pitch? Is it high? Is it low? Where are they? Can I match and mirror that as well? Their breathing patterns, very, very subtle. Most people don't know if I'm copying their breathing patterns.
Mm-hmm.
No one's ever asked me if I'm breathing at the same time.
Are you breathing like me now?
Or blinking and breathing. Very, very subtle cues. But these cues are cues which we actually use. When you consider that 7% of the communication at best is the words, then how much else can I be doing that I'm in control of? I suspect that if you can do enough of it out of volition, that a lot of the other stuff starts to take care of itself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that you can't control, like your pheromonic releases and stuff like that. That's still communication.
Mm-hmm.
It still goes up the tube and touches the back brain,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a response to that. So what happens often is that the other person's thinking, wow, I really get on with this person. They really like me. But that's because I'm speaking their key phrases back to them. I'm listening to the tone of the way they're delivering it and making sure that I'm doing that. Look, if they agree to the contract, I can deliver. It's not about that. It's not a con. I'm helping. The market's inside the mind of the person I'm talking to. It's not out there somewhere. It's literally, if someone's asking me about a contract, they're going to buy. They're going to buy from someone, whether it's me or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can deliver. If I can help them across the threshold towards making a decision, which they're going to really be, thankful that they made that decision that way. If I can help them across that threshold, I'm doing them a service.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm doing. So obviously I want to learn what their buying strategy is so that I can help them by running what I'm doing through their buying strategy so that it's appealing.
That's so interesting. Like going into business meeting, important meeting where you're going to sign some decent contract with these skills.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to do it by accident.
You just come in literally prepared and the blade is sharp.
The blade is sharp. Because, before the meeting, of course, I can ask something really casual like, boss, watch that, by the way, Martin, how did you know that was going to look so good on you? And I mean, how did you know? You see, your eyes just moved in a direction and that's giving me information. So 50% of the time, someone will give me their buying strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work if someone else bought you that watch.
Yeah, I get it.
Most blokes buy their own watch.
Yeah.
Most women buy their own shoes. I bought my wife a pair of shoes once. She thanked me, took them back and bought the shoes she wanted to buy instead. People, as you said, I think, like to talk. They like to talk about themselves. If they've bought something, they look nice, they've got a nice piece of jewellery on, something, a compliment.
Or when there is like a mutual conversation, something for example, like, do you read books?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do as well.
Mm-hmm.
We can have a conversation about books for a couple
Years.
hours, I guess.
Yeah.
Things like this, like I've got 2 dogs at home. As soon as I know that someone's got dog, I will ask the questions. What's the name? How old is he?
Yeah.
How old is she?
It seems like chit chat.
Things like this. And it's not sneaky. It's not something I'm doing in intention to just look good. It's, if you do it with intention that you really care, then it matters. And then it lands the right way. Because I'm genuinely interested about dogs because I love them. I've got 2 staffies at home. You know what I mean? So when someone's got dog and it's a breed that I like, I'm interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it can help to build that rapport and that connection as well.
Rapport within which I'm asking questions to which the answer may be that the person gives me information that's useful.
Yeah.
So that I'm listening. I'm not just talking, I'm listening. I remember one contract that I quite often quote as being an example of this was that someone had said that they always operate out of honesty and integrity. Those 2 words kept coming again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'd been on their website before I turned up. So I'd seen their mission statement. I'd seen these words. And he just, part of his language pattern that he just kept coming back with all the time was, as a matter of fact, it was just And then he would say something. It just happened all the time. But it wasn't, as a matter of fact. It was, as a matter of fact. So I had all this in my back pocket. Because here's the thing. People forget almost everything within 4 minutes. So if he said, as a matter of fact, and then I went, as a matter of fact, a second later, he's going to go, well, that's a bit weird. Like, but after 4 minutes, it's outside of the awareness again.
Okay, because you had a conversation for a long time enough to forget about.
You forget 4 minutes. There's a loop back to your unconscious mind, roughly speaking, 4 minutes. Okay. No one really knows why, but there it is. And so, so if I say it too close, you're going to know that I said it.
Yeah, like...
If I just wait 4 minutes, it's like it's a revelation. You're like, this guy's speaking my language. And that's because I am, And I've paid attention to the tone, the timbre, the speed, the pitch, the volume, everything that I can, because I want to get the contract to deliver that thing, which I know I can do because I love it. I love turning people onto themselves. I love showing people what their system is so that they can go away and use it for the rest of their life to have great fun and whatever else, make money and everything else, but not just make money. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do? The money itself is just, I don't know, do I want to collect pictures of the king and look at him? It's just not really, you understand? It's actually...
There must be higher purpose.
I want to travel. I want to do this. I want to do that. There's things that I want to do. How about doing it now and not wait, until years into the future, blah, blah. How about I want to invest and have those investments growing now until if I decide to retire, there's income coming in all the time, and it just keeps compounding upwards. And how about that? Most people don't even think about that. Mm-hmm. They just do their 40-year trudge and hope it's not terrible at the end or something. I got better ideas about the future than that. And I think that most people, if you give them the opportunity and the skills, they also have better ideas. Anyone, you've not invented yourself but you've moved into an industry that you weren't part of. So from a standing start, you've got to the level that you're at with a portfolio and blah, 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 blah. You did all of that. Imagine the person who didn't make those decisions you made at the beginning to take those steps, And really, everyone has the
ability
to
do it. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Because I saw it on my example, and I'm not bragging here, but I came here, couldn't speak English. Like, what was the chance for me to be successful? But I had to take those steps, like you were saying at the beginning. For example, when I started working in warehouse, I knew the first step for me was learning English. So I signed up to Bolton College, went for ESOL for 1 year, learned grammar, get the sentences correct together, learn tenses and all that, and then I was able to express myself better than before. So that was step one done. Then I started learning about supervision, managerial skills, and I applied for position of supervisor and went step by step, basically, because you have to take those steps. Nothing will happen if you don't take action.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I truly believe that everyone's got ability to do anything what they want. I do believe that every one of us has some mission in this life. And the older I'm getting closer and closer to that mission, to know what I actually want to do in my life. I want to spend lots of time with my family. I want to get this podcast to be successful and reach out to many people and bring interesting guests, to give them a value. Listening things like you talking about, it's a value. People charge money for this, and we will share it for free. Everyone will have access to it on the YouTube. Obviously, if someone wants to do one-to-one with you, we're going to tell them where they can find you. But yeah, I think everyone's got some kind of mission. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally. If you think about what I said earlier on, I said something like the greatest travesty would be if someone didn't achieve the life that they were actually meant to be living, only because they weren't shown how. Because everyone has a way of living in alignment with themselves. But alignment itself has become one of those words that people throw about without meaning. It's like suddenly bridge doesn't mean bridge, you know? But what is your best self? What is the best version of yourself? All these like words. I'm sorry, but let's just get it out there, you know? That instead of that, how about define it? How about use your own language to define absolutely what you want to be in 5 years, in 3 years, in 1 year, in 6 months, in 3 months, in 1 month, and have all the evidence procedures for all of those steps of the way so that you know you're heading in the right direction. A business doesn't go from zero, it hasn't for me anyway, from zero to wherever I want to be in a week. It's a focus that's
compound effect.
It's a long-term focus.
Yeah.
When I set out to be a Master Trainer of NLP, 5 years, multiple trips to Australia, never even talk about the amount of money. How was I going to do that? I'd left the industry. I hadn't worked for 7 or 8 months at that point. I had no money. How am I going to raise 25 grand plus and blah, blah, blah? But if I'd have stopped and limited myself and gone, I don't know, I'll never be able to, then I wouldn't have. But actually, the next month, it became 5 years. I passed that place in whenever it was, 2021.
Is the journey you're taking?
Because it's not actually about getting that plaque on the wall. It was what did it do for me? What does it allow me to do? And it allows me to do, as you said before, being with my wife, being with my family, traveling. I love it. There are loads of places. Learning Japanese, as I told you before, that I've learned about Japanese. I'm learning Japanese in uni, which is opening up a completely different part of my mind. You know, I read and write like a 12-year-old at the moment. It's a completely different script, isn't it? It's not even like a Latin-based script.
Yeah. So do you still train Aikido now?
Yeah, so I don't think it's something that stops.
Yeah, it just goes. Yeah, I agree.
But what is it? What is it? I don't know. But it's bringing value to my life. What is the way? What is the way? Budo, the way of the art. The way of art. The Budo. What is it? So how do I live my life? And that's really, you know, all those things, periphery vision, focus, presence, all the things that it's taught me are all the same things that all the great luminaries that I could name lots of names of people that teach about presence and being, you know, awareness.
Yeah. I think that's very important to be present and being able to enjoy moments now as well, because if you only focus on that end goal, you know, once you reach it, what else is there?
Yeah.
Because you can always be better.
Of course.
You know, if you make 10 million, you can always make 100. And if you make 100, you can always make billion. And then you can make 3 billion. Or that's just money. But anything you want to achieve, like even if you black belt in jiu-jitsu, for example, that's not the end.
It's the beginning, actually.
You know, you can always get better. And I think becoming the person you will become on that journey, it's more important.
Yeah, in fact, I could go a step further and say that you already are that person. So what do you have to stop doing that stopped you from realising that you're the person that you are?
So you already are the person you want to be?
Mm-hmm. It's a very strange paradox when you think about it. It's not what do you have to do to achieve that future goal, because the version of you that achieved the goal is in you already. Mm-hmm. That's how you know you can achieve it.
Yeah, because you always
already
see it.
So how can you become that version of yourself that you can perceive? And it could be in an instant.
That's interesting.
You would still have to take the steps.
You know, dropping some golden nuggets here, mate.
Well, everyone's chasing it out there, and I keep more and more in conferences and things when I present nowadays. I'm more and more saying, track it back. Not where does it go to, where's it coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you coming from? Where do your thoughts come from?
Yeah.
Where does it all come from? How can you maintain yourself at that place from which you're coming? And it does take skills which I teach, which are totally applicable. Anchoring, a simple thing, anchoring a nice feeling, a good feeling, a strong feeling, repeatedly, and keeping firing that anchor again and again and again, every day.
It's definitely true, 100%, that you can actually make yourself angry. For example, when I'm thinking about someone who pissed me off or some bad experience, I can feel it. I'm prepared for fight, for example. You can feel that feeling, and it literally just change your energy and emotions in your body. It's so strange. Just thinking about something, for example, negative experience, and same is the opposite with positive feeling. Like I'm using that in sale. Like, how did I feel when I was selling 5-6 properties a month? How did it feel? And I can go back to it because it already happened. I experienced it, and we can always go back to those emotions and change the current.
It's your system.
Yeah,
it's up to you how you use it. But most people don't realize that they think those thoughts. They just find themselves in a feeling that's not very, that's negative, instead of realizing, firstly, they're creating it. Secondly, they can let go of it and not have it and move on and do something different.
So it's just about that information that some people don't know.
Yeah, that's it. So I think that just as with the martial art, right? I can only really speak of Aikido,
yeah,
in depth. But there's a system of techniques, and you learn all the techniques.
Mm-hmm.
But Aikido isn't that. It's the spontaneous expression of it on a physical basis. That's what, if it was for protection, literally, if it was actually used, it's a physical language, and people would exchange ideas to which there would be a natural conclusion. Mm-hmm. It's a language. It's a physical language, but it's a language. So it should be the same anyway. It's a language, but it doesn't have to be a physical language. So how do you express yourself spontaneously? Well, if you learn the system of the component parts of NLP, like matching and mirroring, like the tone, speed, volume, pitch, and so on,
Mm-hmm.
voice, visual, auditory, all these things that help you to build rapport, but then you ask relevant questions. The questions are designed to help to find out what the client actually wants. And then if you can help them and supply that need, then you can tell them that. But if not, then don't bother, because they're not actually interested in what you're selling. They want something else. They don't try and convince them that if they give you the money, something, that's not being real. So if and I will tell people to go to other places if what they want is not what I offer. But then the purpose of that, is to get to a place where I then tell them that what I've got is the answer to what they want an answer to. And then it's a case of, well, if they want to pay the fee, they can get that information, whether it's a training or a one-to-one. A 6-year-old kid doesn't care about any of it. He just wants to, I don't know, not be scared of dogs or something. Mm-hmm. That's all they care about. They're not interested in what I think about the techniques. They just want to not be scared of dogs. So if that's what they get, they're done. If someone wants to not be anxious anymore and they're not anxious, job done. That's it. They don't want to know anything else. They're just, that's it. Good for them. Someone wants to develop and they come to me for a coaching, if you like. I will never, ever, ever run out of ideas, because they will always be presenting me with an evolving pattern, and I see the pattern. And so I can help. I can always go, well, here's the thing. You're not aware of this at the moment. But the fact that I've said that means they now are aware of what they weren't aware of before. And that's the key thing, You can't be aware of what you don't know you're unaware of. Mm-hmm. And what I'm trained specifically to do in a coaching situation is to spot what you don't know that you're unaware of. if I tell you what you already know, that's not of interest to you. You already know it. You need to know what you don't know that you're unaware of, that's affecting you in the way that you're telling me that you're experiencing effect. The effect that you're experiencing in that situation is a symptom of the fact that you're unaware of something that you don't know. You get it? And you become aware of it, then you can do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a symptom. What is being presented is a symptom of the system. And the unconscious mind doesn't, I haven't even mentioned that before, have I? The unconscious mind it doesn't do words. It's just it's symbolic. It's trying to draw your attention to something that you need to pay attention to. But if you don't know, then you don't know. So usually when I deal with people, a lot of the time it's very quick, because if they're coming for a result as such, then they tell me how they are now, how they want to be, and I can see that there's a big gap in their awareness that's so obvious to me. And all I have to do is to point out to them, if they tap there with the hammer, it's all going to be different. And then it's up to them, isn't it?
Definitely.
And I love it. Someone phoned me up last week just to tell me that not only was the thing that I'm not going to talk about resolved in spectacular fashion, but that she's gone on to do many other things as a result of that, which would not have been in her future anymore. And she reclaimed her future, and she just wanted me to know all of that because she was going to put a review on my Google pin. She just wanted to tell me that she was going to do that. I love that when someone comes back from years ago and says, that thing, it changed everything for me. And yet to me, I'm not special. I'm just listening. People say I feel really listened to when you're listening. It's because I'm actually listening to them. Because if I go inside and have thoughts about what you're saying to me, that's a step away from you talking, because I'm thinking about what you're saying instead of just listening to what you're saying and letting that amazing system that's me deal with all that information and then present me with the next thing that I need to know as the director of my own movie.
Thinking about leaving UK for the better lifestyle? Picture yourself in Cyprus. Sunshine, sea views, and slower pace of life will help you to find your dream home on this beautiful island. How can NLP help people who feel stuck in their life, basically? How can NLP techniques help them to move to that direction that we were talking about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Usually when people come to me with that particular type of issue, it's because they are exactly what you just said. They've got to point C on their map, which is where you get stuck.
They pull the handbrake?
In the model of change, point C is usually where someone comes to me because they're stuck and they've tried everything.
Okay.
Well, they haven't tried everything, because if they'd tried everything, then they would have actually got to the resolution. It's probably outside of their awareness, but they don't know that it's outside of their awareness because they don't know that.
What's the usual reason for being stuck in a life, like not knowing where you're actually going?
I mentioned point C. There's a thing called the universal model of change. So it's basically at the beginning, everything's kind of cool, and you're kind of happy with where it's at, and everything's kind of all right. There I am working for Ridley Scott. Everything's cool. The money's coming in. I'm hanging out with A-listers. I mean, it all just seems like, wow, look at this, And then I arrive at the next point B, where I realise this isn't for me. This is not as exciting as it can be at times. A lot of it isn't actually exciting at all. And, I'd had my fair share of windowless basements for months on end. And it wasn't what I actually set out to do. So what am I going to do?
Is that something you feel inside, like that? That kind of like inner voice, like this is not for me.
Yeah, I was feeling more and more empty, because it was like this is not. You got to understand. At the beginning of a film, I would receive in excess of 200 phone calls and 200 emails a day, every day. Every single one of them was priority one, had to be done right now. right? And obviously they're not, but they are, you know. So I had to deal with them in the order of the strata of the person that sent it to me, etc., etc. But
Names.
towards the end, well, the producer hires everyone. So producer says, so you drop everything, including the directors, you know. So, but by the end of a film, the last 2 weeks, there'd be nothing for me to do. Nothing. No one's asking for new footage. No one's asking where the shot of the dancing dog with the ice cream is. No one's asking me anything. The system's still running because I built it and I built a good system. But they can't let me go because if the system breaks, they need me. And I'd be in an office with no phone calls, no emails, nothing. Like, I hated being paid to do that at that point. I mean, there's a little bit to do, I'll be honest, just in case someone's watching. I did do work. No, I'm joking. I literally was drumming my fingers on the table and thinking, this isn't what I was meant to do. This isn't my life. I've already gone through the door at that point. I will never
I had
be
a
satisfied.
very, very similar experience in recruitment. 2016, I remember. I left 2018, but 2016, I was already walking on the shop floor in the same high-vis vest, safety boots, being a manager, and thinking like... And I remember I was talking to my colleague and I was telling her that I'm going to start doing the property. I'm going to be selling the properties. I'm going to be working with investors. Already started kind of way out. In my mind, I was already out.
Yeah.
But my physical body was still in the
Still
work
there,
because I had to pay the bills and I had decent job. I can't complain, you know. Ended up being senior contract manager, so it wasn't a bad job. In the end, it was mainly just taking responsibility and replying to emails and meeting my boss for a coffee and discussing strategies. But I had a similar experience. Like somewhere inside, I felt like this isn't for me. This is not my journey. You know, I don't. I think I went wrong way. You know.
Yeah. That's
I need
exactly
to find
it.
a way back. You know.
And at first the way is as they diverge from the way you're meant to be to the way you are being, it's not very big to jump. The longer you wait, the bigger the jump.
The bigger the jump
seems to be,
right?
Because it really is just a decision.
Yeah.
However, there I was, you know, earning the money, like you say, and if I leave, no money at all. And so what am I going to do? It's not what I meant to do. And I moaned at my my business advisor that, you know, over the last 2 years, after I quit the industry for 2 years at one point, and I was making money with NLP and so on, but it wasn't. I didn't have that much spare to be able to go and redo all my trainings in Australia. And the first year I was like, well, you know, it'll just take a bit longer. I'll just, you know. Second year, I was banging my fist on his table, demanding to know why my plan didn't work. And I know all this stuff, right? So it was really frustrating. That's because I had arrived at point C on the map and I was stuck. I'd done loads of things, but I hadn't done the thing that I needed to do. I had a plan and everything. And he told me, he said, so you've got a plan. You told me you got a plan. Yeah, damn right, I've got a bloody plan. Show me it. And I took it in the next week and I showed him my plan and he looked at it and he went, very nice. And put it in the shredder. And he said, it's not going to get you to Australia. And I saw my little plan shredded. My heart was ripped. And I came back with something better the next week and he shredded less of it and the next week less of it and so on. And he was brutal, but I appreciate it because he made me focus my mind and actually identify what it was that I did want. And if I wanted to get there, how much was a pint of milk in Woolworths in Sydney, you know? And I found it all out in the end. And then I took that last film just to get there and negotiated upwards the money so that it got me to the number that I knew that I needed to get. I could take care of everything if I could get that number. And then I worked very hard on the last film because I was so motivated.
Because you needed
when I
that
was
level of
at
money,
that place of
basically,
being totally stuck, and I arrived at his door instead of someone arriving at my door like that. And he said, there's a process I can put people through that I know would be of help to you, but I charge X amount of money for it. And as your accountant, I know that you don't have that spare. So why don't we just put that aside and do the process? And in the darkness, a chink of light opened up, a door in it. And I fled through that door. I didn't even know what was on the other side of it. All I knew was I was no longer frustrated at hell as not being able to do what I was trying to do. Something unexpected had happened, and I was so curious. I just went from frustrated to curious and went through that door, and he helped me to make it happen. And because he could see from the outside what it was that I did not know, that I was unaware of, that was preventing me, and he gave it to me. And once I had that, I could run with it. As soon as I had it, I was suddenly, I'm stopping looking backwards, because I can't make it how it used to be. That wasn't going to happen anymore. Even if I could get another film, it wasn't going to satisfy me. But I didn't know what was forwards instead. I didn't have a solid enough idea. So my mind was telling me that it wasn't right. That was the symptom. But it's only a symptom. I had to get underneath that to the deeper underlying structure inside myself that led to me having that symptom. And so we delete stuff to fit our map of the world. We distort stuff. We forget about stuff. We all this because we have an idea in our mind of what the universe is like. My universe that you all live in, you know? But it's just a map. It's not the territory. And my map was out of date. And so once I updated the map, I was filled with curiosity. I was filled with excitement. It was 3 days later. I know it can't always work like that. But, well, maybe it can. Maybe that was a limitation right there. But 3 days later, I got the invite onto the last film that I worked on. I hit clarity, and 3 days later, because he said to me, how are you going to... The plan would work. Finally, he didn't shred my plan. He said, this plan... He always did the numbers. Yeah. Because he's an accountant, right? He said, the number works. All the numbers work.
You just need the number now on your account.
You need this number to go in at the front end. So where are you going to get that 20 grand from? And I said, I don't know, I could get another film. And he went, yeah, after 2 years, come back next week with something more realistic. And it was 3 days later I got the call. And then I phoned him back and said, hey, guess what's happened? And he just laughed.
Is it not universe?
Well, for every person that happens for, there's like millions of people that it didn't.
Yeah, a million reasons you can.
Do you know? So statistically, I do believe work, it's.
I don't know. You know, like I believe when you think about something so much that you become that magnet and you literally attract it to your life.
I do kind of believe what you're saying, but I also believe that there's a whole load of people on Purple Valley out there that will tell you that you can just manifest. You know, because she had nothing and now she's a multi-millionaire.
No, I don't think it works like that. Just you will be sat in your living room and thinking about million, and tomorrow you will get million in your bank account. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't, no. You know, as we talk about it before, there are steps towards it.
There are steps. I could have turned down that film. There was an opportunity. If I'd have thought, I don't work in film anymore, I could have turned it down and carried on looking for doing it with the business that I currently had, which was working. It just wasn't working as well as it does now. I could have turned down the opportunity. So the thing is, I do kind of believe what you're saying. I believe that we are surrounded by opportunities to help us to be in alignment with what we're attempting to achieve.
And when we focus on them, you know...
Do the things that you can do.
Yeah.
And then
suddenly you see all the red cars around you, you know, when you start looking for one.
Reticular activating system. Yeah. So the very same system that looks for those red cars, you know, it's exactly the one that will look for the opportunities and go, there's an opportunity, do you want it? There's another opportunity.
Yeah.
And
which one you want to take?
Yeah, and which one is the one? And hey, you know, you can never definitely say which one is definitely the one.
Of course. Listen, that opportunity worked with the numbers. You needed that number to match your plan, and that was it. You needed to put it together.
What it brought to me was clarity. So when I was invited on, the person who invited me on literally just said, there's another film you in. And I said, yes, and he hung up. And because that's it, you know, once you've said it, you've said it. And then the producer phoned 20 minutes later to do the deal.
Okay.
All right. So the producer
negotiation.
Said,
now is the money part.
Yeah, I'll give you this much, and I knew how much I needed.
Yeah.
I also know how much it costs to live in London for 6 months.
Yeah.
Which comes off the top. And I needed
that number on end. Top. Yeah.
So I said no, and she was shocked, and I said, well, no, I need, and I deliberately went over. And she went, no chance. And I said, well, I tell you what. And I thought in my head, in that one instant, I thought, their number doesn't get me there. It doesn't. And there could be an opportunity tomorrow which does.
Yeah.
You know? So I said, what I'll do is I'll phone you back in 2 hours and I'll rethink my maths, and I suggest you do as well. And then I waited just over 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I phoned back and we met in the middle. That was the number I needed. We agreed.
Both happy, win-win situation.
I got to do my thing and they got me to do my thing for them, which is what they wanted me to do. And you know, at the end of that film, they asked me for it and I produced a 30-odd page document of exactly how to be me in a feature film, how to do exactly what I was doing. It took me 30-odd pages to describe what I did each day because none of them knew. Like I say, they called me Neo because they didn't know how I did it. That's why the guy went, another one, you in? Hire him. Yeah. And it was great. And I've moved on. And do you know what? One of the beautiful things was I told them to never call me ever again when I left that time.
Really?
It's a hard industry to leave.
Okay.
So just up the amount of money they offer if they really want you.
Okay.
And I said, never bother me again. Like, please don't. I don't want to know. And then 5 years later, when I became a master trainer, I had 2 calls from people who'd been on productions with me because they'd just noticed on my LinkedIn that I'd gone and done exactly what I said I was going to do. They just wanted to say congratulations.
Wow.
Isn't that nice?
That's really nice.
It is. It meant a lot to me because...
5 years, people forget.
Yeah. 4 minutes and they forget.
Yeah.
5 years. It's like respect.
Yeah, respect, honestly.
Respect
to those
and loyalty,
who phoned
they
you.
go
And
such a long way,
They appreciated your hard work and that's all it is, Some people do appreciate it.
Yeah, that's it. I just enjoyed being the way I was being. Actually, I was in full flow. And that's what I really loved about it. I was in full flow. I was totally in my element.
Yeah.
Just wasn't the industry I wanted to be in, but
yeah.
I was in full flow.
But you were productive and...
God, yeah, I loved it.
I guess you learned a lot there as well. About people.
People, flexibility, how to swim in a piranha tank.
At Rainbow Northwest, we make real estate effortless. Whether you're looking to sell on the market, off market through our exclusive investor database, or via auction, we've got you covered. Plus, we offer top-notch property and project management, including refurbishment for investors. We can help you to build your own portfolio. Let us help you on your real estate journey. Rainbow Northwest, your trusted real estate business partner. Books. What type of books do you read apart from obviously NLP and what you do? Is there anything particular you grab a book from time to time? Any kind of topic?
Are you meaning like purely for my own entertainment as opposed to
or your
NLP
own
and hypnosis and all those things?
Your own development, for example, but not necessarily just neuro-linguistic programming
per se.
Yeah.
There's I do. There's 2 categories. There's kind of for my own development, as you said, and there's also for what my personal interests are as well outside. Not everything is geared towards, me developing my mind to be more present and aware.
Yeah.
Although probably on one level it does. I talk often about people like Eckhart Tolle, who's a name I'm sure you know, with The Power of Now. Bruce Lipton is one of my favourite people because he's the world's leading epidemiologist, and the stuff that he's saying about cells and consciousness is absolutely riveting. I recommend anybody, even if you don't want to read a book, to look up on YouTube The Biology of Belief. It's a 3-hour lecture, and sit back with a cup of coffee. If you don't get it, if you don't want to know what he's about after that lecture, it's not worth reading any of his stuff. If like me, when I watched his lecture, I was absolutely riveted to it. I wrote to him and thanked him for saying that, because this is stuff that I've been saying since I was 18. And here's someone who actually knows about cells and stuff saying this is absolutely what happens. And he wrote back as well and said, thanks for, writing to him because it helps to know every now and again. It's a bit like me getting someone telling me years later, thank you. So Bruce Lipton, I think he's fantastic, and I recommend anything by him. His newish thing is called the honeymoon effect, which is about how, at the beginning of a relationship, for example, but it doesn't just mean relationships. People are paying particular attention to everything. You're going to go out for your first date. You might spend more time getting dressed than a few weeks before that. You might be careful how you eat, and not talk with your mouth full. And all these things, and being very careful and polite and paying
all
attention.
These things become not important at some point of time.
And awareness leaves the person because they're not making the attention happen anymore. And then the next thing is the partner walks in and says something and they turn around and go, what? Because they were busy. And the partner's like, oh my God, who's this? This is not the person I fell in love with. And it is. It's just that they were being mindful at the beginning.
Yeah.
And now they're not. So they've reverted into old patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that lead you into being more mindful lead you to being free of your own patterning. And so being free of the pattern, remember I said everyone wants to pattern. It's the greatest human instinct is to pattern. Put the pattern on it, you don't need to think anymore. So if you instead
can we change
open
it the old pattern?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because you can't remove neurological synapses that you've connected together.
Mm-hmm.
You can't some crazy brain surgery or whatever.
Yeah, I get it.
But you can add.
Okay.
You can't subtract, but you can add. So if you add more, then and those things are better than the old pattern, you're more likely to do it the new way. Even on a simple level, it used to take me, I calculated it because I'm that kind of person at one point, it used to take me about 10,000 clicks of a mouse to edit 3 minutes of finished video. And then someone showed me how to do that in like 2,000 or 3,000 clicks. It would look exactly the same on the screen with a completely different approach. 10,000 clicks for 3 minutes would not have allowed me to work for Ridley Scott. It would have been too slow.
Mm-hmm.
2,000 or 3,000 clicks, yeah. So it looks the same on the screen at the end, but it was more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I'm going to do it that way. I could have done it the old way, but I've found a better way to do it. And it's the same with everything. When your communication within yourself and outside, you find a better way to do it, well, of course you're going to go in that direction. I mentioned frustration earlier. It used to be a big part of my life. I used to play out with frustration a lot, and then I casually threw away frustration using one of our techniques. Threw it away with the negative emotions #1 script. It's just something we were doing, so I threw it in there casually. Yeah, frustration, why not do that? And I didn't think anything more of it. And then about 2 or 3 months later, I was washing the dishes, normal everyday thing, and I knocked a couple of glasses off the side and they smashed. And I looked at it and I got the dustpan and brush and I cleaned the glass up and put it in the bin. That's what you do, right? So, and then a few seconds later, I'm carrying on washing up and then I realised, hang on a second, if that would have been a few months ago,
the other 2 glasses would go.
and there would have been, clenched fist, go purple, cortisol through the roof, jumping up and down, choice words. And at some point I would have calmed down and I would have cleaned the glass up.
Yeah.
And I went right around that to the clean the glass up bit. And then when I realised that I hadn't actually been frustrated that much at all in the last few months. And I set that up to happen and didn't even realise that it was happening. And then, of course, once I realise it's happened, it's like, oh my God, what else can I throw in there, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yes, you can, because
That's
I learned a
interesting.
better way. I learned to bypass that event and get to what actually needed to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
And I cut out the in-between bit because that wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
Wasting energy.
Which can be used for other things.
Yeah.
Clenching fists takes energy. Jumping up and down takes energy.
Swearing, screaming.
Yeah, swearing takes energy. Literally moving the mouth, it takes energy. All these things are energy. And when you add it all up over a course of a year or a lifetime,
It's a lot of energy.
it's a lot of energy and a lot of time. I often ask people, what are you going to do with all the time? You let go of all this frustration. Oh, you've been anxious. You're anxious. How much? 6 hours a day, every day. Do you have time off for Christmas? No? Okay. So I'll get the calculator out and show them exactly. So you're going to spend 111 days in the next year doing nothing, no eating, no sleep, just sitting there. You know, what are you going to do with all this time? They never thought about it like that.
So I got a question. Can NLP also help with anxiety and depression, or is that...
Yeah,
yeah?
I've done that loads of times. Anxiety is technically thinking about...
Overthinking and
it's thinking about
creating...
a future specifically that's not going the way that you want it to go.
Okay.
All of which is
But
an
you're creating
hallucination.
that picture that actually didn't even happen yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
which is crazy.
It didn't happen. Like, yes, it can happen, but
So
what's
can
the
all these
possibility,
others.
you know?
Yeah, but where you focus, that's where your energy will go, and that's where your mind will go.
Get it.
So if you focus on being anxious about a job interview in 2 weeks' time, as I had a client that did, you know, I said to her, well, can't you have the job interview first and then have the anxiety afterwards?
What about depression? What do you think is the cause? Is it not the similar thing, like thinking or nurturing those negative thoughts?
Okay, so do you remember earlier on I said that the very words that you say and think are the structure of the reality that you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So what most people don't realise when they have something which they may call depression is they are thinking thoughts. It's not just happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying, well, just don't think those thoughts then. That's easier said than done. But actually, when you take apart the logical basis for the thoughts that they're experiencing, remembering that it's inadvertent, they didn't decide to have a crappy life. No one would do that to themselves, right? So they've inadvertently created this thing. So most of their life is actually okay, but the way that they're doing this bit, this is not how they want it to be. And if they say, I'll never get over this, then what do you think your unconscious mind will do with that as an instruction? It will help them, in fact, to never get over it, because it's doing what it's being asked to do. Whereas to say, I'm finding out how to do it better, it's just a sentence. However, the mind, in order to process that sentence, is accepting the idea that it can.
And they're dwelling on those bad feelings and...
I can't change means I can not change. That's what can't is, can not. So if I say I can't change, that means I can not change, which means I can. It's in the logic. So language is logical. It's very, very logical. And people entertain their own mislogic, if that's a word, without questioning it. And again, for me to hear someone saying, blah, 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 I realise I'll never get over it, you know, but I just want it to be better. 4 minutes later, remember, they've forgotten they had that sentence come out of them. Whereas I go, excuse me, how about this? I had a woman who told me she didn't know whether I was going to work with her or not. And then she told me that she felt bad every day and she didn't know why. That's it. That's the symptom. But what's the underlying cause? And within 2 minutes, she told me exactly how she did it. And I said, hang on, stop. Are you aware that you just told me exactly how you did it? You see, she wasn't attending herself when she spoke. So she didn't know that she'd said those words. I found this just one of the first times I ever encountered it. I found it fascinating. I said, you must be aware, surely, that you just said it. No, I didn't. She flat denied it. I said, well, here's what you just said. What you just said is, I've got loads to do, but I don't do it. Then I shove it down inside. That's step 3, and hope it goes away, but it doesn't. Then I cycle it round for long enough for it to cross a threshold. Step 5, so you must know where the threshold is. And when I cross the threshold, I crap all over my husband, and then I feel bad about it for days afterwards, and it's happening all the time. By which point, she had her hands up to her mouth, and she's like, oh my God, I actually said those words. So she'd gone from flat denial, I never said anything, to, oh my God, I actually said those words. So if she keeps telling herself that, she'll keep creating it because she's saying it. To stop saying it to herself, to become aware that she actually said that, changes it already because she's now aware. That gives her a choice. It's about choice.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. To do martial arts for 45 years means I know exactly how to not be martial.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice because I actually could be martial. But I choose not to be because I have compassion for my fellow human beings and all life, in fact, and value it intensely. I value someone who will never come to me as a client, whose life might be completely messed up, and I encounter them and I value their validity on this planet and their right to be here, and isn't it wonderful what they're managing to do with themselves? Isn't it incredible? It really is.
That's brilliant. I've got one recommendation for people. When I attended your course and spent 1 week with you, I bought a couple books about NLP because I wanted to know more. And this one actually is quite easy written. It's very good for beginners to understand the basics of NLP. It's called NLP Made Easy by Ali Campbell. So I highly recommend this book because honestly, it's written so well. Foundation of NLP. Then it goes to its mind is a browser, not a hard drive. Then you've got a couple techniques like we were talking about. It's a really good book. I highly recommend this if someone wants to have basic understanding of what NLP is. It's not so complex, but as a basic understanding, it's really, really useful. I found it really useful.
I can appreciate that. I know Ali Campbell is as well. And look, you can't have the complexity of any subject until you understand the basics.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a map and compass, you need to know how to use that before going into the hills. You know, but there's lots you can do.
It always starts with foundation.
Basics.
In martial arts
basics.
as well.
Always. You can't just throw someone round.
Yeah.
You'd be unconscious.
Yeah.
How to do a forward roll. Let's just start there, you know. And basics. Build. It's always basics. In fact, the Japanese have a saying, hibi shoshin, which means every day a fresh mind, a beginner's mind. And so when you get your black belt, for example, in black belts, the second, third, fourth dans and so on are literally given the number. Nidan, Sandan, Yodan, and so on. It's literally the number. But the first one isn't called Ichidan. It's not called first dan, literally. It's called Shodan. And Sho is the first step in a set of steps.
Okay.
So a black belt is the beginning. It's the very first step. So like now you know how to learn.
Okay.
So now you can start learning.
Now you have understanding.
Same with NLP, you know, I always hammer on about the basics. It's the basics. You know, I mentioned anchoring a nice, pleasant feeling. I still do that after nearly 30 years. Why do I add to it after all this time? Why would I still need to use an anchor before I step on a stage? Well, I don't really need to at all. But actually, why not? If it works, why not? And I have such a powerful state that's been built up over nearly 30 years. I can pretty much override almost anything by using it. Now, if everyone had a simple button, if you like, to feel good for no reason whatsoever, I think that's one of the secrets of the universe, to be able to feel good for no reason. You don't have to have a reason to feel good, just feel good. Then if you can do that, and again, a 6-year-old child can do that in minutes. They can show other people. Again, I've shown a kid how to do that, and he was showing people in the school how to do it the next day. He was 6 and he showed his 3-year-old sister how to do it. I never told him he could go teaching techniques.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't formally learn. He got it and he showed someone else. That's beautiful. What a world. So yes, the basics are there, and I use the basics all the time. Complex stuff is great, but let's not
overcomplicated.
Yeah, I don't think that it's, for most people, no one's going to be, there are only about 200 master trainers of NLP and hypnosis on the planet, so I'm one of a very few people around, really. Yeah. It's not that interesting that everyone has to become. No, how about just learn the basics of your system and how to use it, and that will give you some insight into
how to be a driver.
You just need to be issuing the instructions. You don't need to know how you build neural connections inside yourself. That's for someone else to know. Let them twist their noggin out over that and just get on with learning how to. I think the only purpose in having a conscious mind is to issue instructions. Mm-hmm. That's your job. And the purpose of the unconscious mind is to follow them without question. Mm-hmm. So be careful which instructions you're giving, given that you'll probably forget that you issued it a matter of minutes later. And it can always be untangled later if you do make a mistake, because there will be symptomology that presents itself, like someone annoys you or something annoys you or some feeling inside of just, I don't know, this isn't how it's meant to be or something. In fact, the fact that I would say this isn't how it's meant to be and that I've had that experience, having had a feeling, is actually because I'm creating it. And it must be because I know how it can be. Mm-hmm. I don't need someone else to tell me that, because I have it already, and everyone does. I think it most surprises people these days when I work with them that I don't actually try to give them the answers at all. I know
because they have it.
If you think you have a problem, that means that you must know what it would be like if you didn't. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you couldn't know that you had a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
So can I help them to make the link and walk the path? Not that there's a path in the brain, but if there was, how can they move from this version of themselves to the version of themselves that they can imagine as being real as quickly as possible, given that there would still be things they need to do, even if they change their mind immediately. There's still, and then to help them to identify the steps so that they can do it. Because it's not special. I'm not special. I just do something concisely, consistently, and repeatedly. And that's how anyone achieves anything at all, in my opinion.
Thinking about leaving UK for the better lifestyle? Picture yourself in Cyprus. Sunshine, sea views, and slower pace of life will help you to find your dream home on this beautiful island. Loyalty. Is it important to you? What's your thoughts on loyalty and old school values?
Well, I am a bit of an old school values person. Obviously, the whole martial art side of my life it's impossible to do something for 45 years without it having an effect. And, I've met people, wherever I go in the world, I find the local Aikido place and go there. Mm-hmm. I usually write to them in advance because that's respectful, mm-hmm. and say, hey, I'm traveling through the area. Is it okay if I come? It's their place, not mine, right?
Yeah.
So that's respect.
That's respect.
And I always do that. And I love it because even if I don't speak the language, which often I don't, I can still participate in the process with them and so on. I believe that, as I said before to you, the amount of times people offered me a dangly carrot, if I perform now something for free, probably, then later
we'll all be on a yacht.
Oh, we'll all be, yeah. And it never ever happened, right? So I learned to see through that kind of thing at a very young age, in fact. Mm-hmm. And so it never bothered me when someone did what I call a dancing clown act. They might as well have a red nose on, big shoes, and I hear the circus music. Well, hey, it's my world. If I'm going to hallucinate, I'll hallucinate it my way, right? So that stuff's just rubbish, right? But see, when I worked at the top end of the industry, for example, you don't get clowns there. It doesn't happen. No one's got time for that. Mm-hmm. They want me to make $1 million decision. Decision's going to cost them $1 million. Mm-hmm. They've got to know that I am only asking for that because it's necessary. I might have to explain myself a little if it's that big a price, and I have to make it with the producer's permission because it's above my pay grade, literally. But they hired me to do what I did. to be able to come up with things, even if they didn't like what I came up with, because it was the right thing. And at the end of the day, they would all say it was the right thing. So if I said I was going to do something, it's like, there's a piece of film, to shorten it down, that was screwed beyond all possibility of ever being in the film, but it was required to be in the film. For technical reasons, it was completely, and I had to literally find something that didn't exist to bring that together. And I said I would do it, and it took me nearly 3 months, but eventually I stumbled upon the answer, but only because I'd actually done everything else that led me that day to thinking about the time when I did something which, if I applied that now, would have actually been the answer to the problem. And then all I needed to do was to find someone who had a piece of software. And I found a group of German people that had literally just invented a piece of software that would do the very specific one task that I needed to exist. And so we did a deal with them, and they had a credit in the movie. And we used the software. It was amazing.
That's brilliant.
But I said I would do it, so I did it. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I don't even need to shake your hand, If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I'm not going to do it, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll say I'm not going to do that, or I can't, or I haven't got time, love to, whatever.
Yeah.
If I say to you, I'm going to do that, mate, it's done. It's done. And because I operate like that, I always say to people, find the others. There are other people around who operate in a similar way, and they will tell you straight, absolutely straight. If they're going to do it, they'll go, I can do that. If they're not going to do it, they'll say, I can't do that, or I won't do it, frankly. But they're totally clean. There's no messing about with, oh, well, maybe I will. And they're just saying that because, I don't know, there's some sort of neurotic person that can't say no, or they just want to appear to be something that they're not. I'm not interested in people's appearance. I'm interested in whether people do what they say they're going to do. And as I alluded to right near the beginning of this, I said that there are people who what they say is completely different from what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are also people who what they say they'll do and what they do are actually the same thing, remarkably. And I like that because, there have been times when I needed someone to do something. And I said, look, I need this. I need someone. I need someone to do this. It's going to be possibly for months, an indeterminate amount of time. I don't know how long, but I need someone. And then that person's gone, I'll do it. And then that was it. It was done. And I'm immensely grateful that that person stepped up at that point for me. I knew it was possible, but there's what I always knew was possible with that person, because she just stepped straight up and took it on board. And this is amazing. So I love that. And I always operate out of that sense within myself that I offer a lifetime support to people if I train them. I mean, don't come asking me how you do an anchor, because I'll just point you at the manual, right? But genuine support is like, you've done what you've done and you're still not sure about something, so you check in with me and I help you out. Because I didn't have that myself. Mm-hmm. And it took me years sometimes to get to something which a 5-minute conversation over a cup of coffee could have been done. And so I believe in helping other people like that. So I will be very loyal to people all the time. In fact, my beginning point is to operate out of a sense of loyalty to people, and it's up to them to disprove me. So if someone breaks that bond, that's because they've broken that bond, not because it wasn't offered. So the default is it's on. And if someone decides to switch that off by completely breaking their loyalty, I don't care if you said you were going to pick something up from the shop for me and you didn't. I don't really care about that. We're talking about real stuff when it matters.
Yeah.
And I know who I can count on my hands that I can totally rely on. And those people are the people that I will ask again and again, including feedback on me.
Handful? Probably.
Yeah, literally. I struggled to think of the second hand. But I'm in a very privileged place where those 5 also, because of who they are, know 5 people each, who know 5 people each. And it's nice if I can pick up the phone and phone someone like I did in South Africa last week for a bit of feedback. Because where do I get mine from? When I know that I don't know what I'm unaware of. You know, I've got to trust that the person who I ask for that feedback from is actually someone who's loyal on that level with me and my needs and gets it and wants to
tell you the
reflect that
truth.
back. If I need the truth, I need it. I don't want it sugarcoating. I don't want you to guess because you don't know. That doesn't help at all. That's just nonsense. You know, when it counts, it counts. And it's been my great privilege so far to have known quite a lot of people actually who are very loyal, not just to me, but to other people as well.
That's great.
You build a world that you want to see. You know,
Once you find them, keep them close.
absolutely.
There's not many of them.
No, but I believe that we can build more.
Yeah, 100%.
When people see the value in it for themselves, they can extend that.
Loyalty means nothing for those who don't understand it. Once you understand the value of it, then you realize actually, you know, it can be measured in when we take it to the money in millions. You know, it can be measured to great things and help in life. You know, that's sometimes you need. In the end of the day, we're all human beings. We've got, you know, all sorts of problems and personal problems.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm human, but yeah, no, seriously, it's important, right? If you can't rely on people, then you can't rely on them. And it's okay, by the way, if I can't rely on someone. I just know that I can't rely on them.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay.
That's how it's meant to be.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine for them to operate however they're operating. It takes all kinds to be in a circus.
Right, I've got something that I love to do almost every episode. I will explain you. And today I'm going to do it a little bit different way because of you as a guest. So,
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
Okay.
so
If I want to. Go on. I'm curious.
So,
I'm curious.
One Penny Club is something that I mention in my book as well, and it's basically nice logo of rat because that's who they are, and it's just imaginary club of cheap fuckers who have no core values, who would sell you for £5, who would stab you in the back in a corporate world because they want your position. Basically, people without any morals. Simply explained, yeah. So every episode, I was putting some people here who either owe me money or, you know, I crossed them on my life journey and they just were cheap fuckers and they belong to this One Penny Club, basically. Why 1 penny? Because 1 penny is that small amount of money that when you see it somewhere dirty on the floor, there is very little chance that you even bend over and put it in your pocket because we can't buy anything today. It's just equivalent of the value that they represent. Yeah. So today I'm not going to put any person in there because I've got a different guest. I'm going to put my limited beliefs in there.
Oh, go on.
Because I want to get rid of them. I don't want to have any limited beliefs, what I can achieve in life. And I want to put them in there. And that's where they stay in 1 Penny Club because they are cheap beliefs that don't belong to my mind. And I just want to be free and be able to think freely what I can achieve for myself in life. So all my limited beliefs... Welcome to my 1 Penny Club.
Gosh, it cost 2 pence, that one.
There is 1 pence for you. If you have anyone who crossed your life journey and did you really, really wrong, you don't have to say their full name. If you don't want to put anyone in there, that's fine as well. But if you have someone, you're more than welcome to put them where they belong. And they only belong to 1 Penny Club, which is the cheapest club that can be.
Is the cheapest club there can be. Well, I hadn't thought about this, obviously, until you said so. But being as we're talking, and I don't have to name the person because the person would know who they are. Yeah.
It's a good feeling. It's a great feeling, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I always enjoy it, especially when I was putting there builders who owe me like grand and 1,500 who run away with money and didn't deliver. You know, it's.
Well, I can think of one such person. They still theoretically owe me quite a substantial amount of money, which let's just say was screwed over. But then that was an important lesson to learn. However, that person is a dirty rat and they belong in here. They probably continuously do that with everyone, is my suspicion. I don't think that I was singled out. I think it's the way that the person operates. And so for all the sliminess and all the lies that they told, because they were lies, for the fact that they are the way that they are, which is beautiful, by the way. It takes something to maintain a system over a period of a long time. So congratulations to them for being that amazingly consistent. However, you know, you're a dirty rat. So I'm going to leave you behind and I'm not going to give you another thought. So I'm just going to put it in there.
That's brilliant.
And leave it there.
That's where they belong.
Where it belongs.
To the world of misery and embarrassment. 2 questions in one. How did NLP change your life, particularly? And what's the most rewarding for you for doing what you do? I presume so, and I know the answer probably, is those phone calls when someone will ring you afterwards and say that they've done these amazing things because of your help. They got rid of some limited beliefs because of your help, because you show them the way that they can operate on that level as well.
Yeah.
How did it change your life?
So I know exactly when.
Okay.
Because it was March the 30th, 1997. I know exactly when I went through my door, to which there was no return. And I thought, if all this stuff that I'm learning is true, then the only thing stopping me is the version of myself that currently exists. So I decided to let go of it in its entirety. That's a decision. And also to, in doing so, to acknowledge and forgive myself for anything that I'd ever done, because it no longer mattered. And to step forwards and leave it all behind. And I did that then. And I started from scratch in 1997. Almost like, you know, I've been transported into this planet all of a sudden.
How old were you that time?
It was my 30th birthday present to myself. Was to do that. And I never looked back. I'd set up a process when I was 18 where if I was going to continue to live, I would have to stop doing all these things, introduce these things into my life that weren't there, and change these things. There were 3 lists on A4 pieces of paper, and I started to work on them. Somewhere along the way, I lost the pieces of paper, and then I found them when I was clearing out my mum's attic when I was 29. It's like, oh, look at this. Yeah, I did that, and I did that, and I did that, and where I'd lost the paper, so they were no longer ticked, I'd done all of them as well. So I'd set this process in operation long before I ever discovered NLP, and achieved everything apart from smoking tobacco. So I just gave up smoking tobacco there and then. But it was 1 week after the training, the first NLP training. And I was on fire at that point. And I just decided, you know what? Fuck it. And so I let go of the whole thing and I started again. So momentarily, anyway, I had no pattern. And of course, re-established some of those patterns pretty quickly afterwards. But it was quite ballsy to throw them away. And ever since that point, I've expanded, and everything that brings me away from the present moment is actually a reminder to come back to the present moment, anything that takes me away from here is actually something that brings me back. And those loops are getting smaller and smaller over time. So that's the first question, which is in of itself entirely thoroughly rewarding. And there's one person that was a client that I met up with over the summer that had been completely and utterly suicidal. And by talking to my crazy self for 2 hours, completely realised how completely ridiculous the whole thing was, and ended up laughing and being completely free of that, and has since then become this incredible being. And he was only very young.
She saved her life.
Literally, and has become
That's the
such a
highest
nice
level
person.
you can do, actually. Save someone's life.
I would have liked to have thought if I was in that situation, someone would have come along to try and help me. And the thing of knowing where to tap with the hammer, which I quite often do these days, is what am I going to do? If I know if I tap there, it's going to change everything. What am I going to do? I'm going to tap. I'm going to tap, and I'm going to take responsibility for what happens after I tap with that hammer, because it's going to change everything. And I love it. I love it. I love seeing the look on someone's face when they realise that they've just stepped out from the Wizard of Oz and that it was all just an illusion and that it wasn't real. And phew, wasn't that all a surprise? I love it. And I wish I could lift a camera up and take a picture of someone's face, because I know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
They all, it doesn't matter whether you're big, small, fat, or nothing. It's just, they all have that look when they realise that it was an illusion, and that I've sat there all along knowing it's an illusion, and then just help them to step outside of it. The rest is on them after that point. No matter what the pattern is, you can step outside the pattern. In fact, the pattern itself, on one level, is a hypnotic state. And so actually, you're unhypnotising yourself by letting go of it. So it was just a trance. That's all it was.
Wow.
That's my answer.
Got something to think about tonight. Thank you. Reminding me of NLP.
There you go.
Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. I'm very, very positive that people will take a lot of value from this conversation and from the things you mentioned here. Before we finish, please tell those who are watching where they can find you, how they can work with you.
It's very, very easy. I'm sure you're going to post who my name is on the video, and if you Google that, I'm everywhere. My company's called NLP Training Limited. You can Google that. You can put Mark NLP Liverpool. That'll take you straight there. Mm-hmm. I do have quite a presence, so or just email me.
Do you still have that office or classroom where I went for the training 2 years ago?
Yeah. So I love having that space. It's in Rodney Street, as you know.
Rodney Street, yeah. That's
and I love it because I can have small groups. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not interested in packing them to the rafters and talking about how you can all roar like lions and feed off the turkeys. You know what I mean? I'm not that sort of person. If you want that sort of person, I can even point you towards them. But that's not what I'm about. When I teach, particularly, I teach in small groups because I believe in quality. I believe that my trainers, particularly if people go that far, are the best in the UK. And it's all out of integrity, and it's all out of ethical consideration of the other, and so on and so forth. It's back to that loyalty thing, Can you be loyal to yourself? Can you have the ability to influence another person and also have the compassion to know when that influence is actually a positive thing? It's a gift to have the two hand in hand. So I believe that my trainers are the very best. I believe that my master practitioners are also incredible and are doing incredible things with their lives. And I think that my practitioners are wonderful and are empowered as personal human beings. And that's all I want, because everyone, when they're a child, 95% of people, not everyone, 95% of people under the age of 5 test as genius. By the time you leave primary school, it's about 45%. By the time you leave secondary school, it's about 1%. So this stupidification process that's based on your date of manufacture is an old model of teaching, and I think that we need to introduce new models for people. So my training is always, if I help a teacher, they can go and take that into a school.
Yeah.
If I help a lawyer, they can better draw instructions out of their clients and know how better to actually serve their clients. Do you understand?
Yeah.
If it's a salesperson, yeah, you can make more sales. Why not? I remember short story, talking to a group of people, Sales Dojo. Have you heard of the Sales Dojo? A lot of salespeople. It's like underground sales thing, And they meet up at 6:00 once a month to all trade secrets on how to sell.
Okay.
It's really good. It's called the Sales Dojo because it's a dojo. And I said I could get someone's buying strategy out of someone without them even opening their mouth. So they had me in. There's 70-odd salespeople, and I'm going blah, 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 blah. And there's this, eyes move, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, so, I don't know, guy on the front row, what's your name? So-and-so. Okay, great. And what do you do? And he told me he was a doctor. I was momentarily swept to the side because I didn't expect the doctor to be there. I didn't have time. All the questions came. Why the hell are you? Just had to empty my mind and just go, cool, what made you be a doctor? There's his decision strategy right there. And he went, and I went, no, don't say anything. Because his eyes had already gone there, and then came forwards to answer me, all in a split second, like quarter of a second. And I told everyone else. So all of you didn't see what I saw because I'm looking at him, whereas you're looking at me. But I know what this person's buying strategy is. So, for example, I've got 2 trainings that I'm running next month, right? And this is visual, this is self-talk, and this is feeling. So I said, listen, that's auditory, it's wrong. I said, listen, when I tell you all about it, you'll look and see that it's exactly what you're looking for. And he's like, yeah. I said, or the other one, look, when you get the picture of what it's all about, you'll say to yourself, it's exactly that. What you've been telling yourself you're looking for, you'll feel great about it. And I'll take the second one. And that was from a split second.
Because it was visual.
It was visual. Then you will say to yourself, that's self-talk, it's exactly what you've been looking for, and you'll feel good. And that was it. He was bought. 2 or 3 people did that. And I've heard about nearly falling off your seat, but I actually saw it that day. One of them signed up and took the training because he could see it. I remember this old guy leaving. He grabbed my arm. He's like, I've been in sales for 45 years and no one's told me about the eye thing. I'm going to clear the lot. And walked out, and I thought, I would have loved to have followed that guy and seen what he did, But it was just, I'd obviously, no matter what it was, for a moment, it resonated for him. And I hope he went on and found some books or something, because the basics are, like you say, they're in a book.
Yeah.
Training's training, right?
Yeah,
but
you can't.
But a book is a book.
Replace
That's a great book, and why not? So, yeah, simple. Everything is simple steps all the way. There's nothing that I've talked about today that other people can't learn and can't learn to implement in their life, and then utilize it. Make more sales easily. Why not? Spend more time at home with your family because you're earning more money. I don't know about you, but I only work half a year. I prefer it that way. Spend half a year traveling, going up the mountains, cycling, making music, doing whatever I want to do.
That's the freedom.
It's freedom, right?
That's what we all aim for.
Now, not later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you so much for coming. It's been absolute
You're more than
pleasure.
welcome. It has been a pleasure.
And yeah, this conversation will be written in the history 100%. There is many people who will benefit from this. I'm positive.
I hope so. I'm trying to make things simple for people.
Definitely. Thank you. At Rainbow Northwest, we make real estate effortless. Whether you're looking to sell on the market, off market through our exclusive investor database, or via auction, we've got you covered. Plus, we offer top-notch property and project management, including refurbishment for investors. We can help you to build your own portfolio. Let us help you on your real estate journey. Rainbow Northwest, your trusted real estate business partner.